Hey, it's Dr. Bartow, and in this video, I'm going to share with you how we can reduce sitting trauma, okay? Because sitting to the spine is like sugar to the teeth. So sitting, just like I'm doing now, putting out these videos for you, is one of the worst things that you can do for yourself. So as a whole, we want to aim to minimize sitting as much as possible, especially prolonged, unbroken bouts of sitting. So if you sit at work or you're sitting at your, or your kids are sitting at a desk all day, you need to get up and you need to do some kind of spinal hygiene exercises. There are other videos where I demonstrate those spinal hygiene exercises. So you need to break up your sitting and do that. And maybe even do some squats once an hour. You should not sit any longer than 1 hour at a time. So they say sitting is the new smoking. So much that even if you do exercise regularly, and in other videos we talked about daily aerobic and resistance exercises 2 to 3 times a week. But even if you do those things, if you still sit without interruption for prolonged periods of time, you are still at an increased risk of premature death and disease. Simply standing up at least once an hour is helpful, although you probably need to do that about 3 or 4 separate times per hour in an 8-hour workday to fully benefit. Add in a few squats or spinal hygiene exercises is even better. So here we're saying, you probably every 15 minutes you need to get up and move, okay? A good strategy is to sit in a posture cushion or unstable platform that allows your pelvis and hips to move slightly and forces you to engage. So that would be like sitting on an exercise ball. If you sit on something like that, or they have like cushions that are foam or round discs that have air in them. If you're gonna sit on that. So what's happening is you're constantly engaging your core and your muscles to help stabilize you. That's a great option. If you're gonna sit and watch TV, you can incorporate some exercise into the commercial breaks, such as doing like figure eights. You can, I've showed figure eights in the office, but you can, roll yourself. You can't see it in the video, but you're gonna like roll your hips kind of like this. You can rock your hips back and forth. You can rock your hips front and back. You can do circles both ways. And that's gonna be really good for your pelvis and your low back, as well as core strength and coordination. If you work at a computer, it's a good idea and a worthwhile investment to get a desk that elevates. They're like $200 and you can get a desk that comes down and goes up. You can put it right on top of your other desk so that you can stand up. You can even make your own treadmill at a workstation. Sedentary behavior is the term to describe behaviors for which energy expenditure is low, such as prolonged sitting, time traveling to and from work, and at home. So think about how many times you met somebody for coffee and you just sat, okay? Why not invite people to go for a walk and then sit down for a beverage? So why don't we take a walk and then we can sit down and have a drink? Sitting by itself is a significant metabolic stressor and causes increased stress hormone release and metabolic load. Even if you get 30 minutes of physical activity on most days of the week, you are still at increased risk of adverse metabolic and health effects from prolonged sitting. Even if you get 30 minutes of physical activity a day, if you sit too much, you are still at significant rest. So stand up. Adults, on average, spend more than half their waking hours sitting. People in industrialized society now sit for an average of 32 years of their life. 32 years. 3/4 of all workers in industrialized countries have jobs that require sitting for long periods. And prolonged sitting causes segmental scar tissue adhesions, inflammation, bone density loss of the spine, and thus increases the chance of chronic pain. Sitting also causes poor posture, which is a causal factor in early death and illness susceptibility. So as your chiropractor, I urge you and I beg of you, help me help you by standing up at least once an hour. Your pain will increase and you will live a longer life. And because you are in this office, I love you and I want to see you live a long, amazing, vibrant life. So stand up every hour, stand up. and do some spinal hygiene exercises.